Hello there. It is Thursday, February 13th, and Waking Up with Wesley starts right now. I'm Senior Meteorologist Wesley Williams, and we had a severe weather risk yesterday. We'll recap where the severe weather happened. We'll take a look at the chilly changes on the way for today's forecast, and a peek at the weekend, which features, you guessed it, another chance or risk for severe weather. So without further ado, let's get right to the information. So there's a look at yesterday. We had a number of severe weather reports in the region. If we get a counter on many of these, let's see. Looks like there were 31 reports of severe weather across the region. And if we get a little breakdown of the types, 20 of them were flash flooding, 9 were straight line thunderstorm wind gust damage, and 2 were tornado reports. If we zoom the map in a little bit, we can actually see our 6 southernmost counties were spared. No reports of severe weather at anywhere in Pearl River, Stone, George, Jackson, Harrison, or Hancock counties. So that's great. I'm so happy that we were fortunate enough to be spared. However, our neighbors to the north, they were less fortunate. And areas near Hattiesburg, namely Columbia, Mississippi, which is just to the west of Hattiesburg, they had a confirmed tornado. Our sister station, WDAM, I shared this video on my Meteorologist Wesley Williams Facebook page. If you want to go there to see this video, it was an incredible thing when they were in continuous coverage yesterday in Hattiesburg. They actually watched the tornado form in real time on a camera that they had pointed at the sky there, a sky cam. So just an incredible thing. And hats off to our colleagues at our sister station at WDAM for their coverage. We also had our own WLOX First Alert Weather team on for coverage for tornado warnings yesterday afternoon. And of course, we always do an amazing job with that as well. But there's a damage report, as you've read. You can see that there was a report of damage to homes and businesses in parts of Columbia, Mississippi. I also want to briefly kind of move over to another tornado report that was in southwestern Alabama. Let's see what that one has to say. Not too far from Coffeyville, Alabama. Numerous trees down on a highway, structural damage on a home, and you got a fallen tree as well. So a couple of tornadoes there. Those were the 2 tornadoes that formed yesterday. And one formed west of Hattiesburg, another formed north of Mobile. So all in all, most of the worst weather stayed north of the coast. And you remember that's where that higher risk level was for areas near and north of Poplarville and Wiggins. We had a lower risk level down along the coast. So that's, by the way, kind of a foreshadowing of what's going to happen this weekend. It's going to be another time frame in which the higher risk is going to be north of our coast, and we're at a lower risk on the coast. And I'm crossing my fingers that maybe we'll be spared again this weekend. Before we get to the weekend, let's quickly talk about what's happening now in our weather. It's cooling off in a big way. Current temperatures are dropping by 20 degrees compared to yesterday. We're in the 50s and 40s this morning. And if that's not cool enough, there's also a bit of a breeze from the north as well. That cold front is continuing to advance to the east, and as it moves more and more to the east, those showers and storms are also getting kicked away from us toward Florida as well as toward Georgia. Now, like I said, it's going to be cooler today. You'll notice dry, low humidity, but it will be breezy. So when it's suddenly cooler and breezy, this is a morning in which it's probably not going to be comfy enough to just go out in short sleeves. Probably going to want something a little bit more than short sleeves this morning. Unlike the last week or more when we've had spring-like warmth and mugginess, today is unlike that. We'll see high temperatures this afternoon in the 60s. Places by the beaches could get to the mid to upper 60s, but places that are north of I-10 might only get into the lower 60s this afternoon. So now we'll shift gears and talk about the storm threat coming this weekend. Could be a stormy Saturday night. If you have weekend plans during the day on Saturday, good news, the chance of rain is low. If you have plans during the day on Sunday, good news, the rain chance is low. If you have plans at night, Saturday night, especially after 9 p.m. or especially after midnight, that's that one time frame there in which we are seeing that high chance for rain could be on near washout territory. So the Storm Prediction Center has put out this map. It shows that level 3 risk of damaging storms will be kind of focused where? To the north of our coast, just like the last time, right? Yesterday. And you can see places in that level 3 include Oxford, Tupelo, Greenville, Starkville. You've got Vicksburg, Jackson, Meridian. I'm seeing Montgomery. I'm seeing Macomb and Natchez, all of them in that level 3. So the higher that risk level means the higher the probability of actually seeing damaging weather and dangerous weather. We have a lower risk level on the coast, so again, maybe, fingers crossed, with that lower probability of seeing this dangerous weather, maybe we'll be spared again. But the risks are on the table. Maybe a tornado, maybe some straight line wind gusts that could top 60 miles an hour, maybe some hail. We'll know more details about that in the days to come. I did have a futurecast that I wanted to get to right after we showed the 7-day. As you can see again, that rain chance only about 30% on Saturday during the day, and then we see that higher chance on Sunday. So here's a look at the Saturday futurecast. And as this loads in, you'll notice one thing about Saturday. You're going to get many rain-free hours during the day. Take a look at this. There's 9 a.m. Do you see much rain in South Mississippi at 9 a.m.? No, you don't. Okay, how about noon? Do you see much rain in South Mississippi at noon? Still nothing. Might even get a little peek of sun. And then take a look at 3 p.m. Still not much rain showing up here in our 6 southernmost counties. However, as we get past 6 p.m., I think we'll start to see these little pop-up showers. Those are what I like to call the initial pop-ups. They're kind of the first storms of the day. Now, if you remember yesterday, our first storms of the day, our initial pop-ups that happened yesterday between noon and 3 p.m., they triggered tornado warnings in parts of Pearl River County, in parts of northern Harrison County, and in parts of Stone County. So just want to give you a heads up to, not let your guard down for some of these initial pop-ups that might be moving through parts of our 6 southernmost counties after dark, because those initial pop-ups do sometimes carry that tornadic threat, because those are individual cells that can sometimes be able to rotate a bit more readily. Now, as you can see, there's a squall line, just like yesterday, that's going to be moving in during the overnight hours. But the key about yesterday's squall line is that it got a little weaker as it moved through coastal Mississippi. Now, why would it do that? Why did it get weaker? Well, if you know that thunderstorms gain energy from heat, daytime heating, and you remember the time that the squall line went through last night, it was after sunset, there's not as much daytime heating. So that makes the squall line weaker. And I suspect that the same thing is going to happen with this one. As we take a look at the futurecast for Sunday, it's going to start the clock and it's going to kind of move pretty quickly. So you kind of blink and you miss it. It starts the clock at midnight and this squall line of showers moves through. Did you see it? If you blinked, you might not have. It's a quick mover and it moves through sometime beginning around 9 p.m. to midnight, and then it's gone by the time the sun comes up on Sunday. So this is a very conveniently timed line of rain and thunderstorms if you have any daytime plans this weekend, because it's not going to bother your daytime plans in our 6 southernmost counties of Mississippi. But if you just so happen to have overnight plans between midnight and 6 a.m. on Sunday morning, could be a bummer for you if you're going to be outside during that time, since we'll see rainy and possibly stormy weather during that time frame. Now, the later you go into Sunday, the more that rainy and bad weather moves away, and we actually will just be left with some sunshine, although the temperatures will be falling. As you see, a high of 76 on Saturday, 63 on Sunday, and then even chillier next Monday, 56. And there will be some places that are inland that might freeze on Monday morning. You can see we are calling for a low temp of 35 on the coast on Monday morning. We have 2 7-day forecasts. We'll break out your double 10-day here, and we'll take it full since there's so much information on the screen. But here's a look at the 10-day forecast. And as you can see, the latest information shows that 35 next Monday morning on the coast, but it could be a 32 next Monday morning for places that are north of Interstate 10, like Pearl River, Stone, and George counties, and northern portions of Hancock, Harrison, and Jackson counties. So it could be a light freeze for some places. Then you go to Tuesday morning, 40 on the coast, 34 inland, so it could be 2 mornings in a row with that. Now, we get another rain system around next Wednesday, and then it turns even chillier for the second half of next week. So if you've been longing for those chilly days of February, then I've got good news for you, because down the line it's coming, and we're going to see maybe more rounds of freezing temperatures. Check out next Friday morning, could be freezing even for coastal locations like Bay St. Louis, Gulfport, Biloxi, Pascagoula. We could see a low of 32 on next Friday morning, February 21st. We could go all the way down to the 20s next Friday morning for places that are north of Interstate 10. So just want to give you a heads up that Old Man Winter is not done, and there will be more rounds of cold weather. If you remember, we mentioned that within one of my last Waking Up with Wesley updates over the last week, that I suspect we are not done with freezing temperatures, and like the old folklore says, there's always one last freeze before Easter. And this year, Easter is coming up on April 20th. So we still have more than a month left, which, you know, there's going to be some rounds of cold weather likely if you pay attention to those old wives' tales and folklore and such, which, yeah, there might not be a complete truth to them, but they do come from somewhere. There is some truth in there to them, even if it's not completely down to the science. Well, that's basically the entire update today. I hope that you have a wonderful Thursday. I've been Senior Meteorologist Wesley Williams. Thank you for waking up with Wesley. Have a good one.